Well, hello. So I am just setting up, giving you an idea of what our tutorial is going to involve today. It looks like a lot because I've got it all in one screenshot for you, but do not fear. I will break it down for you. Okay, so I created a colorful template here that demonstrates the color palette, and the watercolors that I used were red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. A little color theory here on the side. And then over here, I have our tulips that we're going to be painting. Very simple, very fun, step by step. The petals and how we create them, I'll go over all this together, but you can kind of get an overview right now. They're going to come together with these 3 basic strokes to create these lovely tulip florals. And then we have our stems and our leaves. And then I am showing a completed flower, which you can then go back into with pen and ink, pencil, more watercolor, or pastel if you want to go mixed media towards the end. This is just a basic overview of the template guide. Then we have our pen, or our pens, our watercolors, and a couple of tubes of gouache as well. I've got some other supplies for mixed media, Posca markers, watercolor pencils, a toothbrush to do the splatter technique. We'll get to that. Okay, just a fun little jar of watercolor pencils and some other mixed media. And then I have a set of permanent markers in various nibs. Okay, a little mechanical pencil for sketching. And then my go-to brushes, which are a 3/4 inch round. This is actually an oval, sorry. And a 12 round and an 8 round. Won't really need anything smaller than that for our lessons throughout the 3-day workshop. Okay. And then I have these little trays because it's fun to go ahead and put one color into each if you don't want to get your colors, kind of going gray on you. You can keep them completely separate, just and do your blending separately, or feel free to do it on a tray and mix them as you go. It's totally up to you. Then I have a handy dandy color wheel, and this is great to kickstart your palette ideas. You can see the color families, you can see your primaries, your secondaries, your tertiaries. Again, this is all a lot of color theory, but it's really a wonderful way to get ideas for your palette and harmonize your colors, which by using the 3 red, yellow, and blue, you'll see how beautiful and how lovely and harmonious the colors work together as we take those primaries and make secondary colors for our tulips. Okay, so that's a little overshot giving you. Hey, well, we are ready to roll. Let's check it out. We're gonna use the medium-sized round brush, dip it in some water, and add some of our red to the brush, load it up, and we're going to begin warming up with the tulip bulbs, or the petals, I mean. And remember the S curve that I talked about. Very smooth and easy. Place the brush on the paper and just make an S shape. Okay, you can kind of see a little bit better there. Load your brush up as many times as you need to, and you can determine how rich of the color you want. Maybe you want to go more transparent. You just add a little more water in that case. And you're gonna keep doing this until you feel like you've got this stroke under your belt and feel comfortable with it. So S, maybe not so much an S there. Don't worry about perfection. And it's just good to warm up like I shared before. You get a little looser, get a little more confident. Have some rinse water, change it out as much as you need to so your colors don't get muddy, and then you have your clear water for when you're ready to start a different hue or color. So there's the yellow, and we will do the same thing here. Let's give it a go. So some S strokes using the primary yellow color. Remembering to breathe. This is fun. It's fun to play with color. Get in touch with your inner child. Stay free and easy. No judgment. Be kind to yourself. Thank you for honoring yourself and making a moment that is all your own to be creative. So we're going to go ahead and use our red. Rinse it out. Move into the yellow and create a secondary color of orange. And some more strokes for our petals. You can really tell that you can get quite a bit of mileage from one color just by the amount of water or the lack thereof. It's not as intense, so you get these beautiful variations, different values of the one color. You can even blot on a paper towel if you want to lighten it up, or add a little bit more water. So we're going to go for a green here, starting with the yellow, and a little bit smaller brush. Get a beautiful green, and because we're using the same colors, we're going to have a nice harmony in this family of colors that we're creating, because we're not jumping into like completely different hues. We're just using these three: red, yellow, blue, and combining them. So here's our stems. Start at the top and just make a nice smooth line with your brush. You can kind of vary the thickness and the thins by the amount of pressure that you put on the brush. You can start out thin, and then if you push into the stroke a little bit, it'll get a little thicker, and then you can lighten it and it'll thin out. And this is, you're gonna feel this and you'll learn it, and you'll just by doing. That's why it's fun to do these practice sheets. And as you can see, I'm going quite flat with the brush to make leaves. So pressure, really let the brush flatten out. There you go. And it makes a nice, thick, luscious leaf. There you go. And I love the way it kind of gradates as you go through the stroke. Oh, it's so fun. It's so relaxing. These practice sheets can really chill you out. I hope you're listening to some nice music. Maybe you poured yourself a nice cup of tea while you work. Actually, it's play. It's such a special moment when you get creative. And then I'm just filling up my paper with practice. Just experimenting, seeing the variations and the different gradations that occur as you're moving through the stroke. I even like how some of the texture of the paper pops through. Okay, so now you've done your practice, and we can move into putting all of these parts of the flower that we practiced separately, we can put them all together now. So we'll begin with the petals. And you can choose whatever color you like. You don't have to do exactly what I'm showing. These are just ways to kickstart your art. Give you a little guide, but please feel free. Use your artistic license and play. Have fun. And as your colors dry, the thing with using a watercolor or a gouache, you can deepen the value once it's dry. If you want to add layers of color, or maybe the same color, you can go back in and deepen it, make it richer. You just have to let it dry a little bit. So you could even use a blow dryer if you want to work a little quicker, or you can work on a different part of your painting while you're letting these initial shapes dry. And just a reminder that at any point you want to stop the video, you can do that. You can go to the gear and you can choose the speed on the video. You can speed me up or you can slow me down. That's the nice thing about using these videos. You can just go at your own pace. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead now and do the yellow and the red to create a beautiful orange. Combining these S strokes to make the petals. Using my oval brush, you can use the medium size one. It'll work just as well. Just playing with the shape as you go. It's very forgiving. And the composition, you know, the way you place them on the page, totally up to you. You can make several of them, or maybe you just want to create one. All right, I think I'm liking what is happening here. I'm feeling really good about it. Loving the way the colors are playing against each other. I'm gonna rinse out my brush, and I think I'm gonna start adding some stems. So I'll load my brush with some of the green I've mixed up earlier. And I'm going to work with a thinner brush. And this is just overlapping the green at the base of the tulip, letting the colors sort of bloom into each other. It looks really pretty. And that stroke, just starting thin and pulling it down the paper and stopping it wherever you desire, however long you want the stems to be. They can crisscross. Don't worry about things being perfect. This is all experimentation. I'm loving how they're blending together. It's really, really quite lovely. And in nature, you know, you think about it, things aren't all just one solid color. The light reflects, and other colors around it can be absorbed. So you'll see, if you really take a look, if you really pay attention, you'll see there's a lot more color happening than just one single solitary hue. I think I'll pump up the screen, go a little more blue. Let the colors speak to you. Use whatever you like. It's sometimes fun to think outside the box and try combinations that aren't necessarily typical. That's letting your playful side, your inner child out. You can have purple cows and green suns, and the sky's the limit, right? So I'm just going to go back onto these stems and add a little bit of gradation, variation. Just very kind of letting the brush skip down the stems with a little richer color. And I'm going back to a little bigger brush from the one that I used for the stems. That was my smallest brush of the three. And this is where I'm going to add a bit more water so that I get a nice smooth, rich line for these petals. So you can see I started out with just the point and then I add pressure, drawing the brush towards the stem. And just pulling it down. And repeating that stroke. Playing with the variation of size kind of makes it more interesting than them all being this very same size or the very same shape or thickness. And I think by now you're probably in the zone, really having some fun and feeling that lovely chill centeredness that comes from being in the flow. This is when time can really start to escape you. So just enjoy and relax and keep on painting. So let's have a close-up of some of the techniques that we're using to add interest and to play with shadow and value and line, as well as some mark making. You can tell I just added some of the richer pigment. That is all based on our 3 colors that we are building our palette from. So we're experiencing lovely color harmony. And since the paint is dry, we can go back in now with the original color and add some variation. Maybe adding some more detail with the richer red or some shadow with it. And you can make as many of these paintings as you like. You don't have to just stop at one. This is actually a second one that I did because I was having so much fun using these strokes to create these petals. They're very whimsical and impressionistic. A lot of fun. So by layering the colors, you're gonna have some shadow or just more detail. You could even stop without these. You know, this is really just some different options that you can work back in once it's dry. And if you'd like to add some details to the leaves, working in with a richer blue Maybe you want to use a richer green, so you could just add more blue to your yellow, or vice versa. Maybe you want to go a paler green. It's always a lot of fun to explore your palette and see all the different colors you can make from just 3 colors. It's mind-blowing, so fun. And I always encourage you to sign your work.